Doctors failed. Machines failed. Even fate seemed to fail. But the one who saved the dying CEO was a starving beggar girl no one even looked at twice. Her one injection rewrote destiny. The storm hit the city like it had a personal grudge against it. Thunder cracked above Crescent Hospital, lightning slicing through the sky as if the universe itself was furious. Inside the VIP emergency ward, chaos reigned. Nurses ran. Interns shouted. Machines beeped wildly. And on the main bed, the most feared and respected man in the city was dying. Adrian Kale, CEO of Kale Enterprises, the man who turned empires into toys, lay unconscious, his chest rising shallowly, his skin ghost-pale. The doctors stood drenched in sweat. They had tried everything: shocks, injections, adrenaline, antivirals, experimental stabilizers. Nothing worked. He's crashing again, a nurse screamed. Heart rate dropping, 40, 35, 30. He's not responding to any medication. The head physician slammed his fist onto the counter. No. Bring another unit of. It won't help, another doctor snapped. His system is rejecting everything. This is beyond toxic shock. It's like his body is shutting itself down. Monitors blared, warning lights flashed, and panic spread like fire. Behind the glass doors, board members exchanged nervous glances. A few already argued over succession. One man whispered, "If he dies tonight, the stocks will collapse." His fiancée didn't even look shaken. Instead, she touched up her lipstick while scrolling on her phone. "If he dies, I get half the company. Just sign the papers," she murmured to her lawyer. Inside the room, Adrian's pulse dipped further. Flatline. A long, deadly beep filled the room. No, no, no. Get the paddles. Clear. Shock. Nothing. Clear again. Shock. Nothing. The billionaire everyone feared, the man said to be invincible, was slipping away. But across the street, drenched in rain, stood a girl no one saw. Barefoot. Shivering. Wrapped in a torn shawl. Holding a tattered cloth bag to her chest, as if it were the only thing she had left in life. Mira. A beggar girl who spent her nights searching for scraps, her days hiding from the world, and her life avoiding the past that destroyed her. She had walked to Crescent Hospital only to warm herself near the vents, not knowing that fate had dragged her there for something far greater. She leaned against the wall, hungry and exhausted, when a crash echoed from the hospital entrance. A young intern stormed outside, frustrated, holding a sealed syringe. "This stabilizer is useless," he shouted. "It won't do anything for the CEO. Throw it away." He tossed the syringe toward the trash bin. Missed. And it rolled across the pavement, stopping right at Myra's feet. She picked it up slowly. The moment her fingers wrapped around the cold plastic, her breath stopped. Her eyes widened with shock. She knew this formula. She knew this exact antiviral. She knew the combination, the sequence, the molecular signature. Her heart raced, because she had seen this injection before, because she had created something similar years ago, because she was one of the only people alive who understood what it could do. Her hands trembled, not from cold, but memory. She looked toward the glowing hospital windows. Someone inside was dying. Someone important. Someone powerful. Her instinct screamed at her to throw the syringe away, run, and never look back. She wasn't supposed to touch anything connected to medicine. She wasn't supposed to be near hospitals. She wasn't supposed to exist. But fate doesn't follow rules. A loud alarm echoed through the building. Another crash, another scream, more chaos. Mira took one step toward the entrance. Then another. Then she ran. Security yelled at her. Staff shouted. Someone told her to stop. But she moved through them like a shadow, slipping past slipping hands, sliding between panicked nurses. Inside the building, she saw the lights flashing red. She heard the words, "He's dying." She smelled the sterile desperation in the air. She reached the VIP ward just as a doctor yelled, "He has 2 minutes at best." They didn't even see her enter. She saw the CEO, unmoving, pale, dying, and her heart twisted. She had seen that same look before. On someone she loved. Someone she couldn't save. Not again. She stepped forward. A nurse turned, eyes wide. Who are? Myra's voice cut through the chaos, sharper than a scalpel.
Move.
If you don't let me treat him, he will die right now. Stunned silence. Doctors blinked at the ragged girl in disbelief. What is a beggar doing in here?
Guards.
Throw her out. She's insane. But she held up the syringe. This is the only medication that will work on him, she said quietly, firmly. The head physician frowned. How would you know what he needs? Mira met his eyes, broken, fierce, knowing. Because I've seen this condition before, she whispered. I survived it. The room froze. Machines beeped. Rain battered the windows. Adrian's heartbeat dipped dangerously low. Mira stepped to the bedside. And destiny held its breath. The doctors didn't believe her until they saw death creeping across the CEO's face. They thought she was a beggar. But her voice, her certainty, it belonged to someone who once saved lives, not begged for them. And the moment she injected him, fate shifted. The room buzzed with disbelief as Mira stood over the unconscious CEO, the syringe clenched between her trembling fingers. The doctors looked at her like she was dirt under their shoes, an intruder, a nobody, a street rat who didn't belong within 100 meters of their high-tech equipment. Yet none of them could ignore the conviction in her eyes. He has less than a minute, she said quietly, scanning the monitors. If you keep arguing, he dies. The head doctor scoffed. What would a homeless girl know about this case? Mira didn't flinch. She pointed at the diagnostic screen. Rapid organ destabilization, collapsing immune response. This isn't an allergic reaction or toxic shock, she said steadily. His cells are collapsing due to a targeted viral overload. Your drugs aren't failing, your diagnosis is. Silence. The kind that hits like a brick. One young nurse whispered, How does she even know that? Mira ignored her. Her entire focus was on the man dying in front of her. She hadn't even seen his face properly until now. Adrian Kale, terrifying CEO, billionaire, ruthless ruler of a corporate empire. Yet in this moment, he looked fragile, human, breakable. A faint memory stabbed her chest. Another person collapsing in a cold lab room, her voice screaming for help, her hands stained with chemicals she created but couldn't reverse. Not again. Not this time. His monitor let out a high, sharp alarm. His heart rate plummeted. He's going into critical system shutdown, someone yelled. The head doctor shoved forward. Step aside. But Mira didn't move. Her voice rose, low and commanding. If you touch him now, there will be nothing left to save. The doctor paused, startled by the intensity in her words. Then one of them noticed the injection in her hand. This formula, what is that? Where did you get it? Myra's jaw tightened. She couldn't tell them the truth. She couldn't say she recognized it because she once worked in a secret research division. She couldn't say she survived the same viral collapse Adrian was going through. She couldn't say she was supposed to be dead. They would lock her up. Or worse. So she said simply, It's his only chance. Another alarm blared. A nurse shouted numbers that made stomachs drop. Heartbeat 22, 19, 13. If she waited one more second, he'd slip beyond saving. Mira stepped forward. Stop her, someone shouted. But by the time the security guard moved, Myra's hand was already at Adrian's neck. She found the pulse point, weak, fading, barely there, and slid the needle in with the precision of someone who had trained years for moments like this.
Click. Push. Inject.
The antiviral rushed into his system like a lightning strike. For 2 seconds, nothing happened. Then, his fingers twitched. A faint gasp escaped his lips. Barely audible, but real.
Alive.
His heartbeat jumped on the monitor. Not much, but enough. Enough to spark hope. Enough to silence the room. The doctors stared. Mouths open. Eyes wide. What did she just do? H's vitals are stabilizing. No way. Impossible. But Mira wasn't looking at them. She was staring at Adrian, her chest rising and falling with relief she couldn't hide. He was still unconscious, but his body responded to the injection exactly as she predicted. Because she had lived through the same thing. Because she had almost died from it. Because she understood its cure better than anyone in the world. A doctor finally found his voice. That injection shouldn't work. It isn't even approved for. Mira cut him off. It works when the patient carries the same viral signature as the prototype subjects. The room froze again. One doctor blinked. And how would you? Mira turned toward him, lifting her sleeve slowly. What they saw made their stomachs drop. A faint tattoo burned into her skin. A mark from a discontinued research program. A program shut down after the subjects died. A program Adrian Kale had unknowingly been exposed to. Project Helix. You're one of them, the head doctor whispered. Mira lowered her sleeve, her voice trembling for the first time. I survived. And now so will he. A nurse gasped. A doctor dropped his clipboard. Security froze mid-step. Nobody knew what to do. Arrest her, thank her, fear her, or beg her for answers. But before anyone could react, the doors burst open. Adrian's fiancée stomped in, heels clicking, perfume choking the air. What is this filth doing in here? She shrieked, pointing at Mira. Throw her out. She probably came to steal something. The doctors exchanged looks, shame, anger, confusion. None of them said a word. But Mira didn't look at the screaming woman. Her eyes stayed on Adrian's face, relaxed now, breathing steadier.
Alive.
She whispered, barely audible. You're going to make it, don't die like the others. The fiancé snapped again, furious. I said get her out. But before security could grab her, the head doctor raised a hand.
No.
She stays. She just saved his life. The fiancé froze. What? The doctor pointed at the monitors. Without her, he would have been dead 5 minutes ago. Mira took a step back, exhausted, shaking, tears threatening her eyes. She saved a man she had never met. A man whose fate was tied to hers in ways she didn't yet understand. A man who would soon wake up and become obsessed with the mysterious girl who pulled him back from death. The CEO opened his eyes, only to see a girl he'd never met crying as if she'd saved him 1,000 times before. He didn't know her name, but his lungs burned with the feeling that he owed her his life. And the moment he asked for her, everyone panicked. Adrian's eyelids fluttered like someone fighting their way out of a nightmare. For hours the room had fallen into a thick, uneasy silence, doctors pacing, machines humming softly, and Mira sitting on the cold floor in a shadowed corner, knees hugged to her chest, exhaustion weighing on her trembling body. She hadn't moved since the injection. Not a sip of water. Not a breath wasted. She watched him like a guardian that no one invited but destiny placed anyway. Sometime during the night, his pale complexion warmed. The lines of pain on his face eased. His heartbeat grew steady, stronger with every hour. The doctors finally stopped panicking. They whispered words like miracle and unknown recovery pattern. But none of them dared bother Mira after the look the head doctor gave them. Don't touch her. Don't question her. Without her, we'd be signing a death certificate right now.
So they let her stay.
At dawn, a soft glow spilled through the window, touching the edges of Adrian's face. And just as the world shifted from dark to light, his fingers twitched, his brow tightened. A small exhale escaped his chest. His head turned, struggling, searching. Then, slowly, painfully, his eyes opened. He blinked at the tiled ceiling first. Then at the light. Then at the silhouettes of doctors rushing to his bedside. Mr. Kale, sir, can you hear us? He didn't answer. Not because he couldn't, but because his gaze had already slid past them, toward the corner where Mira sat half asleep, half broken, but very much real. Their eyes met. Time stopped. He didn't know her. He had never seen her before. But his heart jerked painfully in his chest, like it recognized her from something long forgotten. He stared at her, struggling to speak, voice dry and cracked. Who is she? The fiancée, who had pretended to care only when she realized he wasn't dead, rushed forward with her too bright smile. Adrian, you're awake. Don't worry about her. She's just some homeless rat that. His eyes snapped to her, cold and sharp, even weaker than death. Adrian Kale was terrifying. Shut up. A silence fell so heavy that the machines seemed to stop humming. The fiancé gasped. The doctors hid their shock. Mira froze, her breath catching. Adrian lifted a trembling hand, pointing toward Myra's corner. His throat tightened. He tried again. She saved me. His voice cracked on the last word, not from weakness, but emotion he didn't understand yet. The fiancé scoffed loudly. Her. Don't be ridiculous. She's nobody. Adrian's glare could cut steel. The head doctor immediately intervened, stepping between them. Sir, she truly did save you. Without her, you wouldn't be alive. The fiancé's jaw dropped. But Adrian didn't look at anyone except the girls silently shrinking into the shadows. He tried sitting up. His muscles trembled violently. A doctor rushed to support him. But Adrian didn't stop until he could see Mira clearly, her thin frame, wet hair, torn clothes, eyes that carried a lifetime of pain. Come here, he said softly. Her breath hitched. She didn't move. The fiancé exploded. This is absurd. She should be thrown out. She snuck in. Adrian's voice turned to ice. If she leaves, you leave. Permanently. The room froze again. The fiancé turned pale white. But Mira? She shook her head, backing up. No, please. I wasn't supposed to stay. I only came because... Her voice cracked. Her hands trembled. Her knees threatened to give out. Adrian pushed himself up despite the pain, his heartbeat rising on the monitor. Mira, the head doctor whispered. You saved him. You can speak freely. She swallowed, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't come here for him, or for anyone. I just saw the syringe and remembered. Remembered what? Adrian asked, eyes darkening with curiosity. She hesitated.
Her past.
Her curse. Her experiments. The place she escaped from. The reason she now begged on the streets. She couldn't tell him. So, she said the only thing she could. I just didn't want another person to die. His expression softened, something no one imagined Adrian Kale was capable of. You cried, he murmured suddenly. Mira flinched. What? When I opened my eyes, you were crying. Her heart slammed into her ribs. She wiped her face quickly, embarrassed. I wasn't. You were, he said, voice quiet but sure. Why? Mira looked away, clutching her torn shawl. Because the last time she tried to save someone, she failed.
Because she thought he would die the same way.
Because she didn't know why his life felt so important. She whispered, It doesn't matter. Adrian's gaze deepened. It matters to me. The fiancée clenched her fists, face twisted with jealousy. Doctors exchanged knowing glances. This wasn't gratitude. This was something else. Something deeper. Something instant. Mira took a step back. I should go, she whispered. Adrian's eyes widened, fear flashing across them.
No.
The word tore out of him before he could stop it. Don't leave. Mira froze. Adrian turned to the doctors. I want her here. I want her protected. And I want to know everything about her. Everything. The fiancé exploded again. Are you insane? She's a beggar. Adrian shot her a look that could shatter glass. Then treat her better than you treat me. Every doctor stiffened. The fiancé went silent, shaking with rage. But Mira? She looked terrified. Not because a powerful man defended her, but because now there was no escape. Adrian Kale wanted answers. And once he set his eyes on something, he never let go. Everyone tried to keep them apart, but the CEO kept asking for the girl who saved him. She wanted to disappear. He wanted to keep her close. Destiny wanted them tangled forever. But Myra's secrets were darker than anything Adrian had survived. The hospital corridors buzzed like disturbed bees. News had spread overnight. The cold, unreachable CEO had opened his eyes, and the first name he spoke was the Beggar girls. Nurses whispered behind clipboards. Doctors exchanged uneasy glances. Security hovered near every door, unsure whether to protect Adrian from Mira, or Mira from the sharks gathering around him. Mira herself sat quietly on a bench outside the ward, hugging her shawl, her eyes dim with exhaustion. She didn't want to be here. She didn't want anyone's attention, especially not a billionaire CEO whose life she'd accidentally saved. If she stayed too close, people would ask questions. If they asked questions, her past would surface. And if her past surfaced,
She shivered.
the head doctor approached her cautiously. Mira, he keeps asking for you. She stiffened. Her heart thudded painfully. Tell him I'm gone, she whispered. But you're not. I should be. The doctor sighed. He won't rest until he sees you again. She shook her head. I'm not supposed to be near people like him. He studied her for a moment, her trembling hands, her hollow eyes, her scars that no street life could explain. You're afraid of him? He asked. Mira swallowed. No. I'm afraid of what will happen when he learns the truth. Before the doctor could respond, the doors to Adrian's room burst open. A sharp, commanding voice snapped. Where is she? Adrian stood there, still weak, still pale, but on his feet despite every medical order. No shirt, hospital gown slipping off one shoulder, heart monitor wires trailing like stubborn vines. He looked furious and terrified. His eyes locked on her instantly. Mira. Her breath hitched. He walked toward her with uneven steps, each one packed with desperation he didn't try to hide. You were gone when I woke up again, he said, voice raw. Don't disappear like that. She stood slowly. Her voice barely held together. You should be resting. I can't, he whispered. Not until you talk to me. Nurses hurried to steady him, but he shook them off. Mira, why are you avoiding me? She looked away. Because we're from two different worlds. He scoffed quietly. Your injection disagreed. She winced. He stepped closer, ignoring the pain that flashed across his face. You saved my life.
You cried for me.
And I don't even know your story. You're not supposed to, she whispered. You're supposed to live, that's all. Adrian inhaled sharply. And you think I can just live without knowing who pulled me back from death? Her eyes darted around. Doctor staring, security whispering, his fiancée standing at the end of the hallway with a thunderstorm on her face. Mira stepped back instinctively. Why are you looking at me like that? She asked quietly. Because I don't understand you, he admitted. You came out of nowhere. You risked everything. And you're not asking for anything in return. He hesitated.
His voice softened.
No one has done that for me. Her chest tightened painfully. She had heard those words before. From someone who didn't live long enough to thank her. Adrian. She forced herself to breathe. You need to forget me. Please. He laughed once, dry, humorless, shaken. Forget you? Mira, I opened my eyes with you in front of me. Your face is the only reason I woke up at all. She froze. The honesty in his voice hit her like a blow. She looked at him, really looked. This wasn't the ruthless CEO the world feared. This was a man clinging to the only thread that brought him back. A man who didn't understand why his heart raced when he saw her. A man who didn't know that the cure she used was something that tied their fate together long before they met. But before she could say anything, his fiancée stormed forward. This has gone too far, she shrieked. Adrian, she's manipulating you. She's filth. She probably injected you with poison first, so she could pretend to save you. Mira flinched, pain, humiliation, and fear hitting all at once. Adrian turned slowly. Dangerously. Say that again, he said in a voice so cold the hallway froze. The fiancé stumbled back. You're defending her over me? Yes. One word. Sharp enough to cut her in half. I want her treated with respect. I want her kept safe. And if anything happens to her, I'll know who's responsible. The fiancé's mouth dropped open. You can't be serious, she's nobody. Adrian stepped in front of Mira protectively, despite the wires pulling at his chest. She's the reason I'm alive. That makes her more than everybody to me. Mira trembled, overwhelmed. Adrian, please stop. I don't want trouble. I don't want enemies. You already have them, he murmured. You saved a powerful man. That alone puts a target on your back. Her eyes widened. He wasn't wrong. She whispered, That's why I should leave. Adrian moved closer, lowering his voice until it was barely a breath. And that's exactly why I won't let you. She felt her heart tremble. Not in fear this time, but in a feeling more dangerous. He continued, You saved my life. Now, let me protect yours. Her lips parted, shock, fear, longing all tangling together. But then, a shadow appeared at the end of the hall. A man in a black coat, watching Mira. Her blood ran cold. She knew that face. She knew that emblem. The past she had escaped had finally found her. Mira whispered urgently, grabbing Adrian's hand without thinking. You're in danger because of me. Adrian's heart stumbled, and Myra's secrets were about to break open. Everyone thought the CEO would marry the elegant heiress, but he shocked the world by reaching for the hand of a girl who used to beg on the streets. The media expected a press conference. Instead, they witnessed a confession that froze the entire country. The board tried to stop him, but once a dying man comes back to life, there is nothing more dangerous than his clarity. The final turn. The press room buzzed like a disturbed beehive. Camera flashes. Reporters shouting. Security struggling. Everyone was there for one reason. To see Noah Grant, the CEO who came back from the dead. Rumors said he'd announce his successor. Others claimed he'd expose the traitors who tried to kill him. Some said he was going to finally propose to Helena, the chairman's daughter. But nobody expected the truth. Behind the stage curtain, Layla stood alone, fingers trembling around the edges of her borrowed dress. She wasn't used to silk. She wasn't used to perfume. She wasn't used to room-temperature food even, because life had never given her luxuries. She only knew struggle.
Cold nights.
Begging for scraps. Running from men who saw her poverty as an invitation. And now she stood here because she had saved the life of a man who ruled entire markets. I shouldn't be here, she whispered to herself. But the moment she turned to leave, Noah caught her wrist. You're exactly where you belong, he said, his voice firm, steady, far steadier than his body had been when he lay dying a week ago. Layla's breath hitched. He was wearing a crisp black suit, but his eyes were soft, warmer than she had ever seen. Noah, they'll destroy me if you bring me out there, she warned. I'm not like them. I know, he replied, pulling her closer. That's why I want them to see you. The world stops breathing. When Noah stepped onto the stage, the room erupted. Mr. Grant, who saved your life? Is it true the antidote came from a secret lab? Will you return as CEO? Are you engaged to Helena Sterling? Noah raised a hand. Silence slammed across the hall like a command from a king. I died, Noah said simply. My doctors declared there was no hope. You all know this. Reporters nodded sharply. And yet, I stand here, alive. His voice lowered. Because someone refused to let me die. The crowd leaned forward. This girl, he continued, stepping aside. Layla froze as he gently guided her forward with a hand on her back. Gasps flooded the room. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every detail, her simple dress, her nervous eyes, her trembling fingers, her scars. A girl who looked like she had fought the world her entire life. A girl who didn't belong in the world of marble floors and diamond rings. This is Layla, Noah said.
Flash.
This girl gave me the one injection that saved my life.
Flash.
She didn't run when the alarms went off. She didn't hide when my enemies stormed the hospital. She stood there, while I was dying, and kept me alive with nothing but her courage.
Flash. Flash. Flash.
Helena Sterling, sitting in the front row, turned white as snow. Board members exchanged horrified looks. Reporters stopped writing. Noah rested a hand gently over Layla's trembling fingers. I owe her my life, he said. The hall felt like it stopped breathing. But that is not the only reason she stands here with me. Layla's eyes widened. She hadn't prepared for this.
She didn't know what he was going to say.
Noah inhaled, his gaze softening. When I woke up, he said, she was there, holding my hand as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Layla felt the heat rise in her cheeks. She tried to pull her hand away, but Noah's grip tightened. I looked at her, he continued, and for the first time in my life, I saw someone who wasn't after my money, my power, my company, or my name. His voice cracked just enough for the reporters to freeze. I saw kindness. I saw bravery. I saw a girl who was never supposed to survive, yet refused to give up. Layla swallowed hard. His praise felt too big, too bright for someone like her. But Noah wasn't done. I'm not announcing a successor today, he said. I'm not stepping down. I'm not retiring. The crowd murmured. I'm announcing the woman I refuse to live without. Silence. Then, what? Reporters went wild. Helena shot up from her seat. You can't be serious. Helena shouted. She's a beggar. She doesn't belong beside a CEO. Noah turned his head slowly, eyes sharp as steel. That's exactly what everyone thought about me when I was dying, that I didn't deserve to be saved, he said. But she didn't think that. She saved me anyway. Helena shook with rage. The board whispered frantically. Layla felt like the floor had dropped out from beneath her. Noah, she whispered, tugging at his sleeve. You don't have to do this. But Noah stepped closer, cupping her face so gently it made her heart ache. I want you, he said softly, intimately, in front of the entire world. Layla, I choose you.
Gasps.
Cameras exploding with flashes. Helena storming out. Board members panicking. The world spinning. And Layla? She stood there, tears gathering, unable to speak. Because for the first time in her life, someone wasn't using her, pitying her, or looking down at her. Someone was fighting for her. Noah leaned in, his forehead touching hers. You saved my life, he whispered. Now let me spend the rest of it protecting yours. And just like that, the beggar girl who once begged for bread became the woman the CEO would cross the world to keep.